I call the regular board meeting to order. All members of the board are present. Dr. Singh, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss employment matters relating to particular persons? Mr. Bullen, Ms. Fletch, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to return the regular board meeting to public session? Dr. Spicer, Ms. Poulin, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for recognition.
Thank you very much, Board President. This evening, our school spotlight focuses on Country Parkway Elementary School and their Fall Festival. This year, they wanted to capitalize on the start of school by combining two events to continue to build strong relationships with students, families, and staff. I'd now like to welcome Assistant Principal Extraordinaire Rebecca Skinner to share more.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the district for spotlighting our Fall Fest event at Country Parkway. Country Parkway is a very special place. The school's relationship with our PTA is one of the noteworthy reasons that make Country Parkway such an outstanding school. The Country Parkway PTA is constantly thinking of new and exciting ways to create more core memories for our students and for our families. The PTA events are always fun, meaningful, and well attended. It's no wonder that Country Parkway has once again been awarded the National PTA School of Excellence through 2025 and was previously awarded the Phoebe Apperson Hearst Outstanding Family School Partnership Award in 2022. We have traditionally held a Fall Fest since before I started working in the building in 2007. When we had COVID restrictions, our PTA created an outdoor trunk or treat event in its place. Tickets are sold and students and their families always have a fantastic experience. One concern was that we could only sell a certain amount of tickets before it got too crowded and we reached total capacity inside the building.
Wow.
This year, our Fall Fest chair, Robin Nussbaum, and our PTA president, Amanda Durkin, along with other PTA Fall Fest volunteers, worked up a plan to increase our capacity without taking away from the fun or tradition of the event. The plan was ingenious. We held 2 Fall Fest sessions back to back. Last year, we sold 211 tickets to Fall Fest. At 419 tickets sold this year, we were able to practically double our student and family participation.
That is awesome.
That's great.
This means we had students and families getting a chance to create special crafts, experience the traditional haunted house put on by our local Cub Scout pack, and trick or treat down the hallways in school. We added a classroom competition component where classrooms got to choose a theme to decorate a paper skeleton that hung out in the hallways during the event. Classrooms were creative and competitive. A Josh Allen lookalike was voted the best of the bunch, and Mrs. Hopkins' first grade students were rewarded with an ice cream party. The best part is that we were able to double the amounts of memories made.
Awesome.
It's a great time to be a CP kid. I personally want to thank Robin Nussbaum, Amanda Durkin, and the dozens of PTA volunteers and high school volunteers that made Fall Fest the best one yet. I can't wait to see what our PTA has in store for next year's Fall Fest. Thank you and enjoy the spotlight video.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Fall Fest at Country Parkway is a fall-themed event that we're hosting indoors here, so no weather needed to be worried about. There's fall-themed activities, games, crafts, and we're here to provide those fun times to be able to connect with other families, to be able to enjoy the school in a different way. I feel like I'm watching future memories being born while they're here at the event, and it makes my heart swell to think that we're doing something to give them a fun night out.
Trick or treat! Happy Halloween! It is 100% about the kids and their experience at school, them wanting to come to school, them loving school so much that they want to come back at night and like bring their families. Every year we have new parents, new families coming in, seeing the planning that the committee has done. Robin is a first grade parent and she stepped right up and took on this whole event. This is so exciting because it is like a completely new idea, concept.
This year, instead of having trunks for trick-or-treating, we have class mascots, and they are decorated skeletons that will be hung on the wall. Each of the classes to vote on their theme and help provide the components to decorate their skeleton. And so then when everybody's trick-or-treating and getting their candy at the fall mascot stations, they also get to vote on their favorite one. We also have a turkey wall where students will get to write what they're thankful for and put it on the wall with the turkeys. And we're going to make a flock of Country Parkway grateful turkeys.
They're ready? Switch!
It's the Country Parkway community that comes together to create some really wonderful ideas for kids to engage in. Having kids attend Fall Fest is an opportunity for them to be able to interact with other students that might be in a different grade level, so they're able to see their neighbors out and about, or some students that maybe were in a previous class in a different year. So it's a different way of being able to connect and interact with one another.
I think everybody has those core memories from when they were a child and going through school. And these are one of those events where we can create memories that they'll remember and they'll look back on. It's just like the most perfect thing to watch their faces light up and to be able to run from craft to craft or game to game and be together as a school community and do something super fun.
That is awesome. Thank you again, Rebecca. Country Parkway. Our next recognition is for a student standout, Williamsville South flag football player. From September to October, across the country, Hispanic Heritage Month is recognized. As part of this celebration this year, the Buffalo Bills selected Kat Cassidy as one of their NFL Latino Youth Honor recipients. She is now a finalist for scholarships and grants to continue her education in college, as she hopes to one day be a math teacher. Absolutely. I used to be a math teacher. Absolutely. Please welcome Kat Cassidy and South Flag football head coach Keith Wing, who is also principal of Forest Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to present to you Kat Cassidy. This year marks Kat's third season as captain for the Williamsville South Flag football team.
Whoa.
She served as team captain since her sophomore year, and now she's a senior. She was one of the first two captains in our program's history. In addition to flag football, Kat is also a member of the varsity swim and basketball teams. She's also a clarinet player in the band. And I always tell people that nobody loves South more than Kat Cassidy, except for maybe Mr. Lester. As part of Monday Night Football on September 23rd, during the Bills versus Jaguars game, Kat was recognized by the Bills as one of two NFL Latino Youth Honors recipients. This distinction makes her one of just 32 girls in the entire country to earn such an honor. Oh, wow. As a result of this, Kat is a candidate to be a semifinalist for the NFL's Latino Youth Honors, making her eligible for scholarships and additional recognition. And I was going to mention her path forward, which I knew Dr. Brown Hall would appreciate, where she plans to attend Fredonia to study to become a math teacher. Absolutely. And hopefully a flag football coach. Members of the board and administration, I present to you Ms. Kat Cassidy.
Good evening, everyone. This nomination from the NFL is such an amazing honor. I just want to say thank you for recognizing me here today and adopting flag football in the school district. It has given all the girls and I who play the sport a chance to start a new sport that is big and upcoming, and it's also in the next Olympic Games. Secondly, I want to thank the NFL and the Buffalo Bills for helping increase the popularity of flag football across the country, and for also accepting Luis Dominguez and I as their nominees. I also want to thank Coach Wayne and Coach Hex for nominating me for this award. They both do so much for our program at South, making sure we have amazing opportunities and making sure we improve every game and practices. I would also like to thank all of my teammates as well. They help me improve every time we step out onto the field. They are such a nice, kind, and funny group of girls. They are always so supportive of one another and our opponents, which in my opinion is why we won the Team Sportsmanship Award last season. Lastly, I would like to thank my parents for all the countless hours they have spent driving me to practices and cheering me on at games, no matter what the score is. I just want to say thank you again for recognizing me tonight.
Congratulations. Kat. Can we get a- Perfect. I turn it back over to you, Board President.
Okay, are there any board acknowledgements this evening? Ms. Fletch?
Yes, I wanted to congratulate the girls volleyball team at North Varsity. They won the sectional title last Friday. It was super exciting, and it's only the third time in school history. They previously won in 2011 and 2012. So this year they are Class AA. So they are in the AA sectional champions, or they are the AA sectional champions, and they will play Brighton from Section 5 at 12:30 this Saturday at Lakeshore High School. If you want to come and cheer them on.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other board acknowledgements? Ms. Bleckinger?
Oh, you know about South. Were you going to talk about volleyball?
No, you talking about volleyball. Okay.
I'd like also to recognize Williamsville South for their winning the sectional championship. And I don't have the details of when they're playing, so but I know that they won their sectional. So congratulations to Williamsville South girls volleyball.
Thank you. And Dr. Spicer?
I just wanted to give kudos also to Williamsville South students for their trunk or treat event that they hosted. It was fantastic. I had never been before, and it was incredibly interactive, and they were very, very creative. So kudos to them.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to public expression. I call on Parliamentarian Bleckinger to review our public expression format.
Welcome to all who have come to observe this regular board meeting. Per policy 1510, the board allows for up to 30 minutes of public comment, a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully and we take your comments seriously, public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure that comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personnel information or any topic that may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through the appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. You will be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we will begin public comments. After I call on you, please step up to the podium and state your name. First person I have is Carolyn Nugent Gorzinski. No? Okay. Second person, Kaylee Covert.
Dear board members of the school, I am here to express my strong support and ask the board to consider the important role she has played in our lives of our students. As a parent, I have seen it firsthand an incredible difference she has made in my son's education. I truly believe her continued presence in our district is valuable. She has worked with my son, and her impact has been nothing short of remarkable. She connects with him in every way to make him feel comfortable, support, and confident. She makes the time to understand his unique needs and tailors his approach to help him be successful. Thanks to her, he has made significant progress and feels more motivated and capable more than ever before. Beyond her skills as an educator, she has a very caring attitude and has patience made a lasting impression. She consistently goes above and beyond in providing encouragement and creating a safe space where my son can ask questions and feel heard. It is clear she truly cares about his success, and I am grateful for the positive influences she has had on him. I believe that Lily is a tremendous asset to the Williamsville School District, and I strongly encourage the board to ensure she is able to continue her work with our students. Her dedication and express makes a real difference in our lives of the children she works with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kaylee. Next, Mr. Kim.
Dear the Board of Education members, my name is Doyoung Kim. I'm a parent of a student at Casey Middle School, and I recently learned that my absence from school was not due to illness, but other circumstances. I'm writing as a parent whose child has greatly benefited from teaching, and I want to clarify that she bears no fault in this matter. She has always been dedicated to supporting students through her tireless efforts. She is an educator with not only knowledge and skills, but also a sincere commitment to her students' academic and emotional growth. Holding such an exceptional teacher responsible for actions she was unaware or against regulations and asking her to step down is deeply unfair. I respectfully ask the Board of Education to reconsider and allow me to return to her position as she genuinely prioritized her student well-being. Thank you for considering this appeal.
Thank you. Heather Krieger.
Hi, everyone. Good evening to all the board members and administrators. I hope you know how much we appreciate everything that you do. I'm Heather Krieger. I'm the gifted and talented teacher here at Casey Middle School. And I've been very fortunate to serve in a bunch of roles in the district. I love learning new things and I actually like change. So over 26 years, I started as a science teacher. I've been an instructional technology coach. So I've been very fortunate. I'm here tonight, though, to speak on behalf of my colleague, who has been an extraordinary asset to our school as a fifth grade ELA teacher. Her dedication to her craft is unmatched. She's an incredibly hard worker whose depth of knowledge has brought tremendous values to our students. Her lessons reflect her commitment to using research-based practices from Columbia University, and her classroom is a model of effective teaching. In fact, her exceptional instruction has led her classroom to being used as a lab for other district teachers to observe and learn, showcasing the best practices in reading and writing workshop. And I think probably some of you have had the pleasure of observing her classroom in action. Since I joined our school, I have witnessed significant improvements in student writing firsthand. The word choice, sentence fluency, overall composition, they've reached new heights. And her impact is undeniable. It speaks volumes about her effectiveness as an educator. She's a true professional and an invaluable collaborator. As a GT teacher, I have that unique opportunity to pull students from her classes every week. And we work closely with their progress. In every interaction, she's demonstrated an openness and genuine enthusiasm for including additional students in the program. Her collaborative spirit is evident as she consistently seeks ways to support both her students and her colleagues. And I often seek her assistance when planning my own lessons and meetings. She's further demonstrated her dedication to our Casey students as an advisor for our school talent show. And this role is notably very demanding, yet she excels at it. And it's a way to celebrate all of our students. And she can ensure that all students have the opportunity to shine. Because of that, I think this is a rare and special gift that few people possess. It's my belief that has been unfairly put on leave, despite being a teacher who embodies the very qualities we should celebrate: hard work, professionalism, collaboration. Her contributions and positive impact cannot be overstated, and I believe she deserves our recognition and support.
Thank you, Heather. Next, Nicole George.
George. Good evening. My name is Nicole George, and I'm one of the attorneys representing. As you've heard, is an exceptional teacher. She's the type of teacher that should be celebrated by the Williamsville School District. Instead, we're here to talk about her possible termination. We sent you a letter outlining the details leading up to tonight, and I hope that you had a chance to read it, because to date, you have not been given all of the facts and information. To briefly summarize, we're here because she was the victim of brutal sexual harassment by her coworker. When she tried to get help from the school, the new principal tried to deter her from making a report, because as it turns out, is friends with. Nevertheless, made a formal sexual harassment report in April of 2024, which the district investigated and substantiated. During that entire time, she continued to face retaliation by her coworkers. And then when she returned into the next school year, that retaliation continued as she learned that she was being investigated. You're probably thinking that this sounds like textbook retaliation, and you'd be right. You could not think of a more clear-cut example of retaliation as it's defined under New York and federal law. She was the victim of sexual harassment. She reported it, and she had a target on her back because she reported it. Now the district is here recommending termination because she privately tutored a student, which many teachers do, using a district Chromebook, which she was allowed to use and the student was entitled to have. In law, we call that a pretext, a false narrative to hide the truth. Because the truth is, did not want working at Casey Middle School because it implicated his friend and sexual harasser. And to
They
make
shouldn't be
matters
using
worse,
names. You cannot use names like that. So please stop doing that.
that's fine. I've already said his name, and it's interesting that you want to have this up here tonight for possible termination while her sexual
You can
harasser.
finish. You can finish.
And to make matters worse, the district is now claiming that Ms. is dishonest, uncooperative, and unliked by her coworkers. Again, a pretext, as you could hear tonight, as evidenced by her personnel file, her perfect performance evaluations, and the letters of support that she received. You might be wondering what happened to the sexual harasser. Nothing. He continues to work with no ramifications. Has a great lawsuit, but she'd give it all back to have her reputation, her security, her job. You can't give her all of that because some of it's gone forever, but you can do the right thing and make a decision to not terminate.
Thank you very much.
I'll just leave it at, if anybody has any questions or would like additional information, please let
Thank
us
you very
know.
much.
We are moving on to agenda item 4B. At this time, we will have the enrollment projections presentation. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Board President. We are once again very excited to review our enrollment projections. They have been completed by Dr. Steve Grossman. Once again this year, Dr. Grossman, we appreciate your work and your details. So we look forward to your enrollment projections report. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. This is the 20th year I've done this. Started in 2004 after I retired at LCM BOCES. And we did a survey of all the schools and with colleagues from Syracuse University, and determined that in the foreseeable future, all the schools would have sufficient capacity to handle the enrollments that were coming down the pike. And here it is 20 years later, and I can't tell you anything different. You already know the key factors, the changes in kindergarten size, the current enrollment, migration in and out, number of resident school-age children in private schools, the number of students in district programs are incarcerated. And that's something, in out-of-district programs, that's something that you do need to keep an eye on if you find out some private schools or parochial schools are closing. It may have an impact because there's a significant number of district students that are in non-district classes. It amounts to, I think it was 13%. So that's significant. But there's no reason to think about that right now. It just could happen. High school leavers and residential development. And there's been a lot of conversation about residential development. But that seems to be, hello? Oh, there we go. That seems to be being taken care of by the fact that the birth rate is lower. And so it's helping, the residential development is helping to fill in the deficits created by these smaller kindergartens. So we're going to do these 10 things. I won't read them all. So we've been here before. So we assume that the kindergartens will be smaller than the 12th grades. The in-migration will offset attrition. Housing turnover and new residential development will increase over the next few years, although it has been somewhat slowed by high prices and interest rates and so on. And other factors will stay stable. Now you can see here that there's a couple of classes that are large, the 4th grade, the 5th grade, the 8th grade. Those are going to be rolling through, and they'll have an effect, along with in-migration, on future classes. What am I aiming this at?
Where should he be aiming that at, Nick? The advanced.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So kindergarten birth rate trends are interesting in this district. We've already established that in this district, there's an amazing correlation between the birth rate 5 years prior to a kindergarten class. And then the difference runs around 10 to 13% with a clear in-migration of students of kindergarten age over the 5-year period. This year we had an unusually small kindergarten class. And so what I did in the projections is I increased the kindergarten size by about 30 students and just carry that forward because there's no way for me to know what that's going to be.
You can advance, Nick.
Advance it. Does anybody need an explanation of in-migration versus out-migration and that? Everybody's up to speed on that. Next. Okay, so the 5-year history, as you see on the report, is pretty much stability, K-12. I mean, you got almost 10,000 students and the difference is 68. Next. So next year, or we project in 5 years, we may increase by about 200 students because of the larger classes moving through and the number of students that we anticipate will come in through in-migration. But again, that's 222 against 9,500, 10,000. The elementary schools, 5-year history, again, pretty much straight line statistically. You've increased by 72 students in the elementary schools. Next. And then in the projections, straight line again. Okay. And this is, of course, correcting for kids coming in one class, the average over the last 5 years is from like third to fourth graders, like 8% average. So there are kids coming into the district. Next. Okay, middle school 5-year history, same story, only went up by 74 students. Next. And we anticipate through the projections, the way the numbers came out, a 90 student decrease. Again, not that significant over all those schools and 3,000 students. I wish I could be more exciting and say big things are going to happen, but as far as any projections, it's pretty much straight line. Okay. 5-year history of the not surprising, in the last 5 years, you've lost almost all the over 800 student graduating classes. So clearly, there's been a decline in the high school numbers. However, next. Coming up, you've got some classes that have been supplemented by the in-migration, some of them the largest classes in the 5th grade, 4th grade, that are going to be in the high school 5 years from now. And so we anticipate there'll be a 310 student increase. So we look at the current, next year, and 5 years from now. And the reason we have implications where we say Watch, Dodge, Heim, Maple West, there are a lot of projects in their feeder areas that are possibly coming to completion. And then those projects will generate more students for those particular schools. So we say we got to keep an eye on it. Got to keep an eye on when those projects are completed and what the likely number of students they'll generate are coming online. Next slide. Same thing is true because students in the elementary schools go to the middle schools. Students from the middle schools go to the high school. So there are feeder patterns, and mostly in the north where you have room for development. So I put a watch on north and east. North looks like a big number. It's well within any capacity of the building that I've seen in the last 20 years. But it's just a matter of keeping an eye on it. I can't guarantee it's going to be 1430 or 1390 or, I'm not that good. But it's likely a high estimate, but it brings us up to a point where you might want to keep an eye on it. So I recommended that some folks from the district go out and look at all these developments that are in the area. We all know where they are, and just see where they are. Because I'll go on Google, the Google Earth, and it could be a 4-year-old image or a 2-year-old image. And unless you want to pay me to come out here and just drive around, I'm sure there are folks that can just keep an eye on where these developments are. And then, we could work together to say, well, what's the likely impact on the feeder pattern? And another factor that's needs to be kept in mind is you have very small kindergarten classes. And it looks like because of the birth rate, they're going to continue to be small. So as these projects come online, they may help by filling in the deficits created by the small kindergarten classes. And that seems to be happening. So you're fortunate in that it seems like everything's just kind of balanced itself out with the new development and the small classes that are coming in. So it's interesting. It's been an interesting project just to watch this whole thing evolve over time. And the last slide. So K-12 will level out. Small increases in elementary, decreases in the middle level, very small, and increases at the high school level, not significant, too significant. The economic recovery will probably start having some more stuff coming online. And the thing to watch is, one school in the South might not have much of an impact, but a development like the one that we just were talking about, where they're taking a golf course,
Right.
That could have an impact on particular districts and schools in the district. So it's just a matter of being vigilant, trying to anticipate. The development is glacial in speed, but then when they come online, they come online.
Correct.
So, and next slide. I want to thank you again for allowing me to come out and do this project. It's fascinating every year. And the district, I think, has been very fortunate to have, let me shut this off, the kind of stability that you've experienced without having these big precipitous changes, 50% decrease in enrollment and
Right.
all that stuff that other districts have experienced.
And we see some
you've been very
increase, which is
fortunate.
great also. Absolutely.
What's that?
We see some increase, which is great also.
Yeah.
I follow. Absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
We're about to open it up to questions.
Yes.
Sorry.
All set. Thanks.
So I think on your slide number 9, I asked Nick to pull it up. Did I do it too late though? So 222 additional students by 2030. Is that what I'm
Right,
reading?
yeah,
So
yeah.
2 point something percent, 2.2,
Right,
2.3.
right.
What are you seeing in other communities, if you are? 2
Well-
point something or less than, or losing students?
Mostly districts have experienced precipitous decreases, 20, 30%, and now are slowly coming back up. But again, it's slow, and districts have avoided closing schools, which I think was a smart idea. And it's a lot of I worked with districts where they were going to build a new high school and they were going to do all this stuff, and then I said, you're not going to have enough kids to justify this kind of a project. And 10 years later, 5, 6, 7 years later, they haven't even thought about it. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Additional questions?
Yeah.
Board Member Buell. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead. I just can you throw up 17 for a second? 17. I'm just curious, what is the max, do you think, for each of the high schools for students wise?
Your buildings 20 years ago held many more kids than they do now. And I have no idea, since I haven't come out here and looked at buildings, the massive amount of changes in these buildings, I'm sure. From HVAC projects to fields to, oops, I'm doing it again, to who knows what.
He said
you know?
massive, maybe not massive, but.
But I mean, there's
Been
got to
some
be big
changes.
changes in
There've
the
been some.
buildings and
We can get-
renovations and stuff.
Right. Sorry to
So
cut you
I
off.
have no idea
We
what,
can get you the
the-
actual numbers
yeah.
of maximum capacity, because I know when looking at the numbers, North at one point was over 1,500.
1,500. Yeah.
But we can get the numbers based
Yeah.
on what state ed.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. But again, for me to even opine on it now, 20 years later, we'd have to have people come in and look at it.
Our board president has a question.
Yeah,
Please.
and actually, this is for you, Dr. Brownhall, but is related to this report. Maple West, it looks like there's projected increase of over 100 people, over 100 students in the next 5 years.
Mhm.
And I know we have installed the temporary classrooms there
Mhm.
because space is getting tight. I'm just wondering, are those temporary classrooms going to be sufficient for this additional potential increase?
They indeed will. So, and that's why and it's funny because I know I attended one of the WTA sessions, and the teachers were talking about the additional space that's needed. And I know the leadership team talked, and we met, and we had the opportunity of being able to install the mobile classrooms because we anticipated the enrollment increasing at Maple West. And so that will be enough to cover the anticipated or projected enrollment increase. Yes.
So I can't say that I know a lot about buildings, but I can just tell you how many kids are going to we had a good year this year. Right? I think I was at 0.3% in terms of accuracy.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just
Yes.
one question. Do you look at the town of Amherst or the Amherst, Clarence, as well as Cheektowaga?
Most of my information for planning is town of Amherst. Almost, I mean, all of it comes from the town of Amherst planning department.
I mean, there's been some new construction in Clarence as well. That's why I want to check with you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, board members?
Again, thanks for the opportunity.
Very much, Dr.
Okay.
Grossman. I'll turn it back over to board president.
You've been overestimating compared to last
No need, because I'm turning it back over to you, Dr. Brown Hall, for your superintendent's report.
I don't have my written script. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll start with the community update. So our community update for November 12th, 2024. First and foremost, I want to thank all of the teachers, the students, and the parents that were in parent group 1 and focus parent group 2 that provided feedback for our school start times committee. So as you know, our committee was formed last school year, and our principal of Williamsville South, Mr. Keith Bortman, is the chair of that committee. That committee spent all of last year doing research on school start times. All that research is available on our district website. They developed a timeline by which they have identified the key points that are important in our school start time decision-making efforts. Many of you know that in the middle of October, many of the members of the committee went to the school start time convention in Baltimore, Maryland, with administrators, teachers, and our board member, Maureen Poulin. So they're in the process of reviewing feedback and all of the information. And what's going to happen is a recommendation will be put towards the board, in front of the board, at our January meeting. After that, we will have a 30-day comment period. The board will take all of that information, they will analyze it, and then the board will make a final decision in February 2025 for implementation of the 25-26 school year for any changes in start times that the board agrees to. Universal pre-K. We do have additional placements available, so I want to thank our leadership team, specifically Dr. Balin, for all of her work in our UPK programming, Mike Kelly and Tom Matursky for working with Erie Community College to find additional space. So many of you know we are now leasing additional space on the ECC campus for new UPK classes. We are partnering with Brightspace for that. Brightspace is formerly EduKids. Bright Path, Brightspace. It is a Brightspace, but Bright Path, which is formerly EduKids. So if you have students that meet these UPK requirements, 4 years of age by December 1, 2024, of course, reside in the district, students must attend their UPK program 5 hours per day, 5 days a week for the entire school year. Transportation to and from the program is the responsibility of the parent or guardian, and you must meet New York State immunization and mandated health requirements. If you have any questions, please call the UPK secretary at the phone number listed. Classes began on the ECC campus last week, Monday. I know that was a question you had, Board President. So we are very, very excited that we no longer have a waiting list for UPK this year. So we've exhausted the waiting list with the additional classes, not only at ECC, but some of our other CBOs increased their enrollment numbers. So we're very excited about that. SIL of Biliteracy. Many of you have heard us talk about the SIL of Biliteracy and the SIL of Civic Readiness. The district is offering the New York State SIL of Biliteracy at each of our high schools for students graduating this school year. The SIL of Biliteracy recognizes high school graduates who have attained a high level of proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in one or more languages in addition to English. We encourage you all, click on Board Docs, go to Community Update, click on the Seal of Biliteracy webpage link, or just do a search on our newly refined district website to find more information about the Seal of Biliteracy. Our Family Support Center. So our Family Support Center had a soft launch in September where we were actually providing services for students after school for their academic needs. And so now we are proud to announce a partnership with Spectrum Behavioral Health to provide mental health counselors at the Family Support Center, who can schedule students, parents, and guardians and families can be connected with a counselor at the Family Support Center. And the availability is Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6:30 p.m. by appointment. If you're interested, please be sure to contact your school's social worker who can provide the proper referral paperwork. School dramas. So we were very, very excited to have Williamsville North. They had Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. I'm sorry, they will have Alice's Adventure in Wonderland on November 22nd and 23rd at 7 p.m. Williamsville East already completed their drama, which was A Christmas Carol, and Williamsville South completed their drama, which was Murder on the Orient Express. And I'll tell you, so I saw the movie Murder on the Orient Express, and I was just as intrigued sitting in the audience, like, who did it? And I know who did it, right? But it was just so good. The students, their acting was superb. Everything about these dramas was exciting. So I encourage you all, if you can make it to North to see Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, that's November 22nd and the 23rd at 7 o'clock p.m. I want to thank our teachers, Stephanie Calhoun and Allison Jacobs. They presented on culturally relevant education at New York State English Council in October. So it's great to see our teachers getting out and presenting all of the great works they're taking part in our district. Teachers Rebecca Stegner and Michelle Bigger presented at the New York State Reading Association Conference today. So another phenomenal example of our teachers getting out and showcasing the great work they're doing, and that's taking place here in Williamsville. Literacy leadership. We were very, very honored to have Dr. Noni Lasso present during a workshop with district administrators this past week. Dr. Lasso is the interim dean of the Graduate School of Education at Harvard University, and she is also one of the authors, one of the lead authors in the New York State Education Department literacy briefs. So we do have a clip to go along with this that Nick is about to play.
If you look at a large-scale analysis of U.S. job descriptions, here's what you get. I need oral and written communication skills.
The role of literacy in our world, in our professional and our personal lives has changed dramatically, even in the last 2 decades. What our students need for today and tomorrow is very high degrees of literacy, of vocabulary, of comprehension skills. They need literacy as a tool for life to be successful in their personal and professional lives.
The briefs are broken down into different areas, and they address each grade level area along with the reading and writing connection specifically, as well as leading for literacy.
So we were very pleased to have Dr. Lasso here, and Dr. Lasso is also an expert on the science of reading. So many of you have heard about the science of reading, and that is going to be part of the Superintendent Speaker Series when Christy Carroll talks about our literacy in the district. We want to remind all of our family and community members that the Thanksgiving recess will be on November 28th and 29th. Classes will resume on Monday, December 2nd. We also want to encourage you to please visit the PTSA Craft Fair, and that will be at the Hine Schools, Hine Elementary and Hine Middle, December 7th and the 8th. So on December 7th, it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. December 8th, it's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're going to end an hour earlier. Anybody think they have a guess why?
Bills game.
The Bills game, indeed, Board President, indeed. So there is a volunteer sign up. The PTSA Council is looking for volunteers to help that day, and we have a student crafters application. So they're always looking for student crafters to participate also. So many of you may have seen on the news, we want to congratulate our own Williamsville East, Ashi Parashar, who won silver and bronze at the World Karate and Kickboxing Championships in Portugal. So congratulations, Ashi. Last Friday, we also had our Wall of Fame induction ceremony. And so we inducted Wall of Fame alumni from Williamsville North, South, and East. You are able to watch the 2024 Wall of Fame induction ceremony if you click on that link, and it's available on our website. And that is a community update for November 12th, 2024. Thank you very much, Nick. Any questions, board members, about any of the community update items? All right, we will move on. In the board packet this month, you will have the 2024 staffing and class size report. So for our community members that don't know, we produce this document every year. In September, we provide a preliminary class size report, and in December, we provide a very detailed staffing and class size report. At the community forum we held at East High School on October 5th, community members were speaking about class size and asking that the board make sure they keep a keen eye on class size, and our board does. They do it so much that they asked if we could move the report up from December to November, and that's what happened. I want to thank Dana Floriano and our HR team for compiling all that information with our principals at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And you will see in the report a detail of all of our classes and the class size numbers, whether we're within range, above the prescribed range, or below the prescribed range. So you're able to see that in the as item 5B in board docs for this agenda. Next, we have our 2024 budget planning, review of the 2023-24 audit and historical budget increase and decrease information, followed by our long-range financial planning report that is pertinent to the 2024-2025 budget. And I'll turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Management Services, Mr. Mike Kelly.
Great, thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity to present the audit and take a look at the long-range planning budget. Just maybe advance to the next slide here. On this first slide, we simply cover the audit requirements in New York State for school districts. Chief among the areas that must be audited annually include the general fund, federal grants, capital project fund, school lunches, debt service, community education, and the extra classroom fund. On the next slide, we look at the statement of revenues and expenditures as well as the balance sheet. We see the results of the general fund for the school year ending June 30th, 2024. Revenues were up 14.7 million, which is about 6.9% from the prior year, while expenses were up 16.7 million, which is about 8.8%. Transfers were down. Total fund balance at 6/30/24 was 16.5 million, up 5.2 million from the prior year. On the balance sheet, which is on the right side, assets increased 18.3 million from the prior year, while liabilities were up 1.8 million. On the next slide, the key takeaway is the last line. As we note, expenses increased faster than revenues. Revenues were up 14.7 million, while expenses were up 16.7 million, a $2 million difference. The main drivers of the cost increase include salaries and benefits, transportation, and food service. On the next slide, we see some key takeaways from the audit in the last fiscal year. The district had positive growth. Unassigned fund balance was 4% or 9.3 million, which was consistent with the law. With potential large-scale capital projects on the horizon, I'm happy to report that restricted fund balance increased by over 30%, including 22.1 million added to the capital reserve accounts. Lastly, the district's net position increased by over 21.8 million, which demonstrates strong fiscal year as well as a strong fiscal position for the district. On the next slide, we take a look at historical budget changes for the district over time. Over the last 18 years, the average annual budget increase was $5.2 million, while the average salary and benefit increase after reductions was nearly $4.5 million. Over this period of time, salary and benefit increases totaled $100 million, which is equal to nearly 80% of all total increases the district saw. On the last slide, please note some of the trends the district should be aware of. Personnel or human capital expenses will continue to be the largest budget component. Being mindful of historical budget changes gives the district the opportunity to consider resource allocation for other priority areas going forward. It's worth noting that budget growth and cost increases during tough economic times are still constant and consistent, which means we still see these increases even when the economy is down. District costs today and from yesterday have a compounding effect on future budgets. So that basically means whatever expenses we have today and that we want to continue, there's going to be a compounding effect on those expenses going forward for the district. If there's no changes on that presentation, we can move into the next presentation.
Are there any questions on that presentation before we move into the long-range planning presentation? Thank you, board members. Assistant Superintendent Kelly.
Okay, next we're going to take a look at the long-range plan, which was developed over the last several weeks. The district's long-range plan provides users with a projection of costs, revenues, and changing budgetary landscape the district faces each year. It allows the district to consider future costs and concerns over a multi-year period. It also will help the budget development process for 2025-26. On this slide, we list the New York State budget requirements. I'm sorry, that was the last slide. On this slide, a few critical considerations include the possibility of a contingent budget, budgetary notice, property tax report card. I'm looking at, property tax report card, annual budget meetings, and the budget vote. On the next slide, we start to take a look at how revenues and expenses stack up. On the revenue side, the two largest categories are the tax levy and state aid. While on the expense side, salaries and benefits make up the two largest expense categories. On the next slide, we consider revenues and plan for the future. It's worth noting the following. Foundation aid increased 2.25%, or just over $1 million each year. The tax levy has increased about 3%, or $4.5 million annually. As we plan for sales tax, we've built in some decreases moving forward. And this is a direct result of what we're seeing from from sales tax receipts from Erie County, as well as taking a look at the landscape of the local economy. Fund balance is expected to decrease over the life of the financial plan. In recent years, average annual revenues have increased about $5.3 million. The district's busing expenses will increase $1 million in 25-26 and 5% thereafter. The key here is that expenses are expected to increase $9.6 million, while revenues will increase only $5.3 million. This creates what we call a structural imbalance between revenues and expenses. Our challenge every year is trying to figure out how do we cover those additional expenses that exceed our revenues each year. On the next slide, the one key item I'd like to focus on is the third yellow highlighted line. This is titled Reduction in Forecasted Year. This line projects the necessary budget reductions needed in each year of the financial plan to bring the budget into balance. The last line on this slide looks at the anticipated growth of the district's budget in each year of the long-range plan. Each year, growth is expected from 5.2 million up to 6.6 million, and we see that 6.6 million in the first year of the financial plan. On the next slide, which is a little tough to see because it's a little small, we look at the planned use of reserves over the financial plan. The district plans to stop using reserves or significantly reduce the use of reserves over the course of the financial plan. The main exception to this may be capital reserves, which could decrease by over 32 million due to major capital projects over the next few years. What will be critical over the life of this financial plan will be to monitor how state aid changes. As many people are aware, the governor has asked the Rockefeller Institute in New York State to look at how state aid is used for schools and to recommend changes to the formula for foundation aid. This could have a significant effect on the district, including the ability for the district to maintain adequate reserves. On the next slide, we look at some key factors when we consider reserves. The best case scenario is always when reserves exceed expenses. Reducing reserves and fund balance use typically requires revenue increases or expense reductions. Through proper planning, the district is able to use long-range planning to assist with reductions in fund balance and reserves. On the last slide, as I previously noted, state aid increases will be critical for the district to continue to reduce reserve and fund balance use, as well as the plan for the future. Health insurance increases continue to exceed expectations. Bus transportation costs also are significant for the district and pose changes over time. We also anticipate that school start time could change next year, as the superintendent mentioned. This could also be a factor that may have an effect on possible costs going forward. As we look at future budgets, wage increases will be a challenge in the years ahead. Cost of staffing can also affect the district's ability to reduce its reserve and reliance on fund balance. Lastly, it should be noted that program expansion has a compounding effect on future budgets. Again, I mentioned earlier today, if we have expenses today and we continue those expenses in the future, typically what you see is compounding expenses going forward. And that affects future budgets and what our expenses will be in future years. With that, if there's no questions, I'll turn it back over to the superintendent or the president.
Well, we'll ask first, right? So are there any questions, board members? Dr. Singh has a question.
I just had a question on your projections. When you did the projections, what was the tax levy you expected to increase every year? Is it 3%?
A 3% increase is what we built in, and that's pretty consistent with what we've done in past years. Again, we don't know what that's exactly going to look like based on the calculation and what the budget shapes up to be. But for today's assumptions, we built in 3% for the tax levy.
So assuming the tax levy is at 3% and we don't get any increase in state aid, we should expect a reduction in we have more expenses than revenues projecting forward. So we should expect reduction in our programs or some other ways to break even.
There would be. We're going to get into the budget process for next year from this point in time forward. And we're going to look at these very things that you bring up. If we have too many expenses that exceed our projected revenues, we'll work on reducing those expenses to bring the budget into balance.
Thank you.
This may be a silly question, but start times would affect cost based on extra heating if it's colder later in the day, more electricity.
Yeah, we're thinking more transportation related. Yeah. So depending upon if we have to add buses because there's runs at district levels at the same time, there could potentially be effect on transportation costs. Again, no decisions have been made, so we don't really know that at this point.
Thank you. Also in board docs, you have the long-range budget PDF, which was excellent. I read it twice. In fact, I read it again while you were talking. So I guess one interesting point and then a question. Interesting that the teacher salaries or the salaries of employees as a percentage has remained fairly stable within about 1% of the budget, even though the salaries have increased as a percentage of the budget. It's about the same, 53, 54. It's been about 1%. I thought that was interesting. I like the way you broke it down over probably, I think, a 15-year period to show some consistencies. The other question I have is, you mentioned the IDA and their pilot programs and how the pilot programs, deprive school districts of tax revenue. And I spoke about it briefly with your predecessor. Is there a way for us to find out from the Amherst IDA what that number is? I thought they published it yearly, but is there a way we can get some number? Is it 100,000? Is it $1 million a year?
Yeah, I'd have to check into that. As you're probably aware, we as a district have
no say,
control
right,
or no say
right,
when it comes to the pilots. Let me do a little digging and reach out and find out, and we'll send a notice out to the board.
Thank you.
And just for our viewing audience, pilot is an acronym for payment in lieu of taxes, correct, Mr. Manna?
Yeah, and the concept is that if you give a company a tax break, they will locate here or expand and add employees, although that's, the state comptroller has opined many times that sometimes that is not the case. We like to look for but for not the tax break, they wouldn't come. In most cases, they do come or expand without the break. But again, I think that the number is important. What are we really cost shifting from businesses that are getting this tax break, right or wrong, and really cost shifting that to the taxpayers? But thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I turn it back over to you, Board President.
Okay, thank you so much. We are on item 6A, events. The Williamsville staff conversations with the Board of Education and Superintendent will be November 20th at South High School Cafe from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Ms. Poulin attended the National Conference on Adolescent Sleep and School Start Times held October 18th and 19th. And several board members attended the school building visits that we had to Forest, South, and Mill on November 5th. And during those visits, we saw the facilities and viewed classroom instruction. Just wanted to thank all involved with those visits. Are there any comments or questions regarding these events? Okay, seeing none. 6B. As Student Board Member Committee Chair, Vice President Poulin, can you please provide an update for us?
Yes, I can. We had actually our first meeting today via Google Meet. We had representatives of all three schools, and our three board members joined us as well. When we just did an overview of the process of onboarding new student members, and got some good conversation going with the students regarding the qualities and characteristics that they believe are important for a student board member to have. And we began to talk about the process that would happen in order to identify the students who will serve with us on this board starting in July. I gave everyone homework to do that they will meet in their school teams to look at all of the components that we talked about as possible ways to identify a board member and what they thought in their school would be a good process that would involve both the voice of students and the building administrators. And they are to submit that to me by winter break. Our school board members are going to be looking at the handbook that was provided to us from the School District of Schenectady that they have developed to help onboard their student members. And so we'll be working on those things. I have a follow-up email to go out tomorrow to remind everybody of what they're going to be doing, and we'll be keeping tabs on them in the process in between now and then.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any questions on that before we move on? 6C, board liaison assignments are listed in board docs. I wanted to thank everyone who's been completing your liaison reports so that all board members can stay informed. Are there any questions or comments under board liaison? Okay, 6D, the policy committee met on November 4th. Committee members will review the Erie One BOCES lists of policies that are required by law or regulation and compare those to our policies, and then we will be meeting again in January. 6E and 6F are the ECASB and the NYSBA items. Those are all in board docs. The legislative breakfast is November 16th. ECASB's speed boarding event is on November 21st. If there are any board members interested in attending, please let Mrs. Carey know. NYSBA's virtual annual business meeting was held on October 10th, and Ms. Bleckinger voted on behalf of our board, so thank you for that. The 2024 adopted positions for that meeting are available on NYSBA's website. The annual NYSBA convention was held in October 20th through 22nd. I attended along with Vice President Poulin, Board Member Fletch, and Dr. Brown Hall. And additionally, there was the digital experience that was also available to board members. And are there any questions or comments on the ECASB or NYSBA items? Okay. 6G, correspondence. We received correspondence regarding our 2023-24 financial report. We received it returning to work, our language other than English program, school tax bill, school start times, school project interviews, and hiring practices. Moving on to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve items 8 minutes, 9 personnel, 10 business and finance, 11 exceptional education, special needs, and student activities, and 12, the NYSBA annual membership dues as presented. Mr. Manna, Dr. Singh, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We just approved the appointments of Principal Nathaniel Barnes at Country Parkway Elementary School, Assistant Principal Caitlin Boudet at North High School, and Director of Science, Engineering, Technology, and STEAM, Kevin Lasky. Congratulations to all of you, and you are welcome to say a few words at this time. Principal Barnes, you were first in the list, so if you want to go first, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am happy to be here with you this evening, and I am very excited to join the Williamsville Central School District, specifically Country Parkway community. I've devoted much time to researching the school, so on day one, I can be as well-versed as possible. So I look forward to the work ahead and working collaboratively with the Country Parkway stakeholders to continue to move forward with upholding the school's vision and mission. And I made a connection that I'm sitting behind some of the school community members, so hopefully I get an opportunity to interact with you on this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Principal
Welcome.
Barnes.
Thank you.
Caitlin Boudet. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Baudet.
Okay, so I got it wrong.
It's totally fine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall and the Board of Education. I'm deeply honored to step into this role as assistant principal at North High School. I've been a part of the North community as an English teacher and an instructional technology coach for the last 10 years. So I'm very excited to start this next chapter at my school that I consider my home. In this role, I'll continue cultivating a supportive and engaging school environment that empowers all of our students to aspire to reach their unique potential. I'm so excited to get started, and go Spartans.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you. Kevin Lasky.
Hello, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall. Thank you, Dr. Balin, the leadership team, and of course, the Board of Education for this appointment. I'm sincerely thankful for my last 6+ years at North High School, but at the same time, I'm honored, humbled, and excited to embark on this new journey as the Director of Science, Engineering, Technology, and STEAM. I am excited to join Dr. Balin's team with the directors to support our talented teachers and students at the K-12 level. So I'm very excited to work with everyone in the entire district. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I won't let you down. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I believe we'll be taking pictures. Yes,
Yes.
Nick? All right. I would like to thank the following retiree for their service to the district. Christine Condren, teacher aide, Forest Elementary, for 20 years of service. Moving on to 13A, may I have a motion to take from the table for the second reading of policy updates 7110, 7221, 7440, 8360, 8450, and 8470 as presented. Mr. Manna, Ms. Bleckinger, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion for the second reading and adoption of these policies? Mr. Bullen, Ms. Pullen, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. 13B, may I have a motion for the first reading of policy updates? And hopefully I get these all right. 3421, 7121, 7130, 7132, 7220, 7241, 7250, 7313, 7315, 7330, 7340, 7360, 7410, 7420, 7530, 7550, 7553, 7556, 7557, 7580, 8210, and retire policies 7133, 7212, 7230, 7411, 7522 as presented.
And And I apologize because we were supposed to remove 7121 from that list.
20.
Didn't read 70.
Not there. Not there.
I removed
Sorry.
20,
Removed.
actually, 21
Sorry.
days.
Sorry, the next my
I
fault.
get the right one? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
The next my fault. I apologize.
That's okay.
I'll be
All
quiet.
right.
I'll be quiet.
I almost always get it wrong, so.
No.
All right, so can we have a motion for the first reading of these policies as presented? Dr. Singh, Mr. Manna, any discussion? I would just like to thank everyone involved in all of these policy updates, including our district clerk, Mrs. Carey.
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
Okay, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. May I have a motion to table these policies for the second reading and adoption at the December meeting? Dr. Spicer, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. There are no matters to discuss under items 14, 15, and 16. Does anyone have any matters to discuss under Committee of the Whole? Okay, seeing none. It is time for our second public expression. If anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time, please step up to the podium. Seeing none, we will move on. And this concludes our regular board meeting. The next scheduled board meeting is December 10th. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Ms. Fletch, Ms. Poulin, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good night, everyone.